Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time we're going to take a look at the 1965 fight between Sonny Liston and Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali. And we're going to try to answer is, did Sonny Liston take a dive? It's one of the most controversial fights in boxing history, definitely in my lifetime, because there's just a lot of people who felt like he threw the fight, and then there's other people that said he was knocked out legitimately. So what we're going to do is take a look at it tonight, and you be the judge. Don't let anybody persuade you one way or the other. We're going to show you the fight. We're going to show you it in slow motion. We're going to listen to some experts talk about it, and then see what you think, okay? That's our goal tonight. We're taking a deep dive on the 1965 fight in Lewiston, Maine. Take a little bit closer look at Sonny Liston here. 35-2, 84-inch reach, 6'1.5", 218. He was a heavyweight champion for two years after defeating Floyd Patterson. The reason I have 33 and 37, I really don't know how old Sonny Liston was. There's all kinds of things flying around, but he was somewhere in that vicinity. He was definitely past his prime. The two fights that he lost a fight to Marty Marshall early in his career by decision. He had never been on the canvas in an official knockdown. And then the other fight was when he sat on his stool against Muhammad Ali in their first fight in 1964, but he was never touched the canvas in that fight either.
Arena, Lewiston, Maine, the world's heavyweight boxing championship.
Introducing from Denver, Colorado, he's wearing black trunks. He weighs 215 and a quarter, the former heavyweight champion, and now the challenger, Sonny Liston.
A right hand shot on the chin. Jersey Joe Walcott. Sonny cannot move. Check the time. Mohammed, what was the punch that won it for you? You're a real champion at this point.
Well, the punch that won the fight for me, I believe it was a left hook or a right cross. And one of the two, I really can't think because I was moving too fast.
A left hook or a right cross?
All right, let's take a look at the fight. There's the punch right there. You can see Liston going down. There it is in slow motion. He definitely got hit. There he is on the canvas. It's a little bit different viewpoint here. You can see he tries to get up. Weak fall. See flopping around. He gets up. He's not shaky. He's not shaking. But to say he didn't get hit, he got hit. But would that be a punch that would take somebody out? That's the question.
You could see the punch. They called it a phantom punch. You could see the punch, but you could see his head react. It definitely landed. The question was whether or not he decided to stay down once he got hit, and I think he did. The way he went down seemed maybe legit, but the way he stumbled around, he didn't stumble around like a guy whose central nervous system got jacked. What's crazy was how afterwards he stumbled around like he couldn't move, like he couldn't get up. It just didn't seem real. See, this is where I'm not buying it. This just seems like horseshit. But I could be wrong. Now he's stumbling. See, like right there, that seemed like he decided to stumble and go down.
But now they stopped the fight. Now why did they stop the fight?
I don't know.
At the bout, you were directly situated to see Clay throw the punch. Was there a punch?
Yes, there was a punch, Howard, but I didn't think it was hard enough to crush a grape. The ring lights were very hot. The only explanation I can give for the way Liston fell was that perhaps he was sunstruck by the lights. It was a hoax in the sense, I don't think it was a fix in the sense that money was passed, but I don't think that Liston tried as hard as he should. He just took a punch and got out of there. That's the way it looked to me. Afterwards, when he got up, he certainly wasn't unconscious. He seemed in possession of his faculties. He ducked, knew enough to duck, about 5 or 6 right and left hands.
Billy, the thing that puzzles me is the documented record shows that Liston had never before been felled, and Clay had never before been a one-punch knocker-outer. Now, in the wake of those facts, how could this have truly been a knockout punch?
All right, let's look at the best reasons that indicate that Liston took a dive. Liston had never been knocked out. Matter of fact, he'd never been on the canvas. Ali was not a one-punch knockout artist. He had never knocked out anybody with one punch. Liston never complained about the KO without a count. Referee Jersey Joe Walcott never counted to 10. He was attempting to get Ali to a neutral corner. And Ali, if you watch in the video, is just going ballistic. And here's an amazing statistic. From March 1961 to February 1964, almost a 3-year period of time, Liston had only fought 6 minutes because he had 3 first-round knockouts over that 3-year period. Here's the best reasons that indicate the fight was legitimate. Logically, it's hard to believe that the mob, if they were behind the fake fight or him throwing the fight, they would want to lose Liston as a champion because they had no control whatsoever over Ali. And losing the heavyweight title would mean losing money. That's why it's so rare that anybody was ever accused of throwing a fight in a title fight. Next, let's look at Paul Glender, who wrote a book on Sonny Liston. He researched it for 25 years. He interviewed countless members of Liston's family, friends, business associates, managers, trainers, and arresting police officers. And according to him, Liston had been ordered to throw the fight or his wife, Geraldine, and his adopted son would be killed by the black Muslims. That's what he comes up with in his book. Let's take a look at Malcolm X, who was a good friend of Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali at the time. Since his friend Malcolm X had been assassinated 3 months earlier, Ali had been receiving many death threats. Malcolm had been driven from the Nation of Islam by its leader Elijah Muhammad because he was a rival of his. The black Muslims warned Liston, "You get killed if you win." And this is according to Joe Igg, stated in his book, A Life, which is on the life of Muhammad Ali. These are comments from Cassius Clay Sr. about his son Muhammad Ali. He said his son joined the black Muslims when he was 18 years old and that they had been hammering him ever since. He's so confused from that, he doesn't even know where he's at. Clay Sr. goes on to say, "They ruined my 2 boys. The Muslims tell him to hate white people, hate women, and to hate their mother." Right, next, let's take a look at the period of time that this fight took place. It was 1965. In November of 1963, JFK, the President of the United States, is driving in an open vehicle in Dallas, Texas, and has his head blown off. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy would be assassinated in broad daylight in 1968. 3 months prior, as I just mentioned, Malcolm X had been assassinated in broad daylight. This was 1965, a highly volatile period in U.S. history. And to make matters worse, the fight was held in a high school ice skating rink in Lewiston, Maine. You say, why? Because no major venue wanted the fight because of all the negative publicity surrounding the fight. The black Muslims, organized crime, the mob. It drew the smallest crowd in the modern history of the heavyweight title. So it was a different period, and that's what you have to keep in mind. Liston told Mark Crane of Sports Illustrated years after the fight, "The Muslims were coming up. Who needed that? So I went down. I wasn't hit." Most experts familiar with Liston felt the punch wasn't powerful enough to take down a fighter like Liston. He had never been on the canvas. Talking with Don Dumphy, the longtime boxing announcer, he said he didn't feel the fight was on the level. And in the 1995 HBO special documentary, Johnny Tuco said he spoke to John Vitale, a mobster boss, had told him before the fight that it was only going to last one round. Other people pointing to a fixed fight, former FBI agent William Romner said, "We learned that there was very definitely a fix in the fight." Boxing manager Bernie Glickman claimed that while conversing with Liston's wife before the fight, she told Sonny, "If you've got to lose, you should go down early and avoid getting hurt." Following the controversial fight, there was an outcry by politicians for the abolition of boxing, and closed-circuit viewers felt like they'd been robbed and they demanded their money back. Ryan Russolito, on his podcast, asked Jonathan Igg about the controversial fight, and he responded, "It looked to me like he was flopping down there. Even the way he's rolling around on the mat just looked like a bad acting. So I think he threw the fight, but that's just my gut." In Sean Assail's book, The Murder of Sonny Liston, the ESPN writer commented, "Liston took a dive in exchange for a piece of Ali's future earnings." A former NAACP president said he heard Liston boast about receiving some of Ali's purse when he signed to fight Joe Frazier in 1971 as a result of the 1965 fight. Any truth to it? We have no idea. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is Sonny Liston basically was a criminal most of his life. He had a hard life. In 1952, he was serving 2 years in prison for armed robbery, and that wasn't the only time he went to prison. He was paroled to a team of boxing handlers with ties with John Vitale, a St. Louis underworld figure. 6 years later, Frankie Carbo and Blinky Palmero, top mafia figures in the Northeast, became majority owners in Liston's contract. Frankie Carbo was later indicted on multiple counts of undercover management of prize fighters and unlicensed matchmaking. Liston actually fought 12 fights under Carbo's leadership. Another very close associate of Sonny Liston was Ash Resnick of Las Vegas. Resnick had been involved in the basketball point shaving scandals that rocked the New York college hoops in the 1950s. Resnick was actually banned from every horse racing track in Florida because of his corrupt ties. Yet he was in Sonny's prep room prior to the first Clay fight. All right, let's wrap this up. Conclusion. My purpose of doing this is to show you all the different shady individuals, Ash Resnick and the others, that Sonny Liston was involved with. Also, all the books that have come out, the authors and what they've said about the fight being fixed. And to add to all that, you've got the black Muslims on Ali's side that really did not want to see him lose the fight. There's a high probability that the fight was fixed. In my mind, there's no doubt. Now, what you need to understand is if you don't agree with that, I'm not going to be upset. So please don't send me any comments talking about my grandparents or something like that. It's just not that big a deal to me. If you watched up to this point, I sure appreciate it. Please hit the like button, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you.